everybody, this is Hustle Hub. I'm Giacomo, and today we're going to cover Nike. This is one of the stocks that you asked me for. So before we get into the video, make sure to like, subscribe, and comment which stocks you want me to cover next. On top of that, the links of the databases that I use for this analysis will be in the description. So if you're interested in doing your research by yourself, that may be a good choice. So check that out. Let's get into Nike. First of all, let's see what Wall Street thinks of Nike in this particular moment. So on Anachart, we can see that 80%, 83% of Wall Street analysts recommend a buy right now, 16% recommend a hold, and 0.6% recommend a sell. Here we see the latest recommendations that came out of Wall Street. We can see all the major banks over here, and here we can see the evolution of the price target in the last year and how that went from around September of the last year, 2021, until right now, 2022. We can see that the price targets have dropped along the way because of the geopolitical turmoil and the possible recession as a consequence of that. So we can see the overall situation with the price targets and what Wall Street thinks. So let's take a look at the latest reports. We can see from Barclays, they recommend a price target of $83 right now and a hold rating. And then we can see Baird, Goldman Sachs, and so on with all these price targets. Let's take a look at the performance score. Let's see. So let's take report that is updated, not too old. Let's see this one, 3 months. We can see that on average this guy meets the price target after 64 days after he makes the recommendations. So right now it's still at 130. Yeah, still pretty positive. One thing that we can see, even though that the price targets have been reviewed and changed, we can see that still a lot of them are above the trading price. So that could be a positive thing. But we still have to see how the geopolitical situation and the issue with the supply chains will affect the overall economy. And we'll see how Nike develops as a consequence of this situation. We can see also these that are pretty recent, 14 days ago. You can see that they have changed the price targets from the guy from Piper Sandler from 115 to 95, and the guy from UBS from 168, which was pretty positive, to 141. So we can see that Wall Street has reviewed its price targets, but it seems like they're not too negative on Nike right now. So now let's head to this one and we'll see how Nike is positioned overall. So we can see that right now it's trading at a market cap of $142 billion, income around $6 billion, sales pretty interesting. We can see that it distributes a dividend, and it has a dividend yield in this particular moment of 139%. So next, we have a PE ratio that is okay. It's not too much. We have to consider that Nike, even though it's not in a high growth sector, it has a very strong moat because of its brand that is recognized worldwide and its sponsorships with the most important athletes in the world. Next, we can see the news. We see that Nike is looking to crack down on resellers of its sneakers, but it doesn't look like something that could change the trajectory of Nike. So next, let's head to a small spreadsheet that I've made to give you an idea of how Nike has behaved in the last 10 years. So all right, so we can see from 2012 until right now, it hasn't yet published the situation for 2022 because we're in 22 right now, so until the end of the year. But we can see that the revenue has steadily increased. So we can see that Nike, even though it doesn't operate in a high growth sector like technology, semiconductors, and so on, it has grown the revenue quite a lot. So that's very important, and it has done very good for the shareholders. Next, we can see the EBITDA more than doubled in the last 10 years, so that's pretty good. The debt, totally manageable for the size that Nike has, and as I always say, debt when it's under control is not a bad thing, because it's a lot of times it's cheaper to finance yourself through debt rather than equity and diluting the shareholder base. So if the debt is manageable, the shareholders should be happy to see it in the balance sheet. Next, we can see the market cap. It has done pretty amazing for the shareholders, and we can see that the enterprise value to EBITDA has grown, but now it has come down to more reasonable terms. So that could be a good thing. And another thing that is very, very interesting to see is the shares, the outstanding shares. We can see that the outstanding shares have become less and less along the years. So that means that Nike buys back and it strengthens the situation. It strengthens the financial situation for the shareholders. Earnings per share more than tripled, so that's pretty good, pretty amazing for a stock, for a company that doesn't operate in a high growth market. And we can see that also the dividend per share has increased quite a lot. So we can see very impressive results. We'll see what happens in this turmoil and how Nike is affected by it. We can say that Nike is more affected by the geopolitical situation more than others because it operates worldwide. More than half of the revenue of Nike comes from outside the US. We can see that geopolitical issues can take a toll on Nike's performance. Nike has relied a lot on Southeast Asian markets, both for manufacturing and also for growth in the last few years. So if the situation between the US and China, for example, gets worse, Nike could lose a possible market in the worst cases. The same already happened with Russia, where Nike stopped operations, and all the deals that it had in Russia, like sponsoring teams and so on, were canceled. We can see that the jerseys of Russian football teams right now don't have the Nike logo on, even though they're probably still Nike, they just covered the logo. So we'll see, but Nike is a very strong company, strong moat, strong brand that even though it can go up and down in the short term, it will probably continue to deliver very well for the shareholders in the long term. So that's my point of view. So like, subscribe, comment which stocks you want me to cover next. Make sure to tell me that. And check out the databases in the description if you're interested. So this is it for today. I'm Giacomo. This is Hustle Hub.